Have you ever encountered something while hiking or exploring that left you questioning everything? Well, today I have a scary story about exploring underground tunnels where we may have disturbed something sinister. It was late last summer when my friends and I decided to explore an abandoned military facility in the middle of nowhere. We've always had a thing for ghost stories and urban legends, so when I stumbled upon a map online of hidden tunnels beneath an old base, I knew we had to check it out. The place was in a remote part of the desert, nothing for miles. We weren't expecting anything supernatural, just the usual creepiness. It was supposed to be a thrill, maybe even a bit of a rush. There were 4 of us, me, my best friend Alan, and 2 others, Jenna and David. The plan was simple. Get to the facility, snap some photos, and get out before dark. But of course, we ended up staying longer than we planned. We reached the location by sunset, a crumbling, decayed structure surrounded by rusted fences and overgrown weeds. The place had a desolate, forgotten feel, which was exactly what we wanted. I pulled out my flashlight and we headed inside, the air heavy with dust and silence. The place looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. We finally found the entrance to the tunnels in a corner of the building. It was hidden behind a pile of broken concrete and metal, almost as if it was trying to stay concealed. Alan, being the adventurous one, was the first to suggest we go down. I didn't hesitate to follow. After all, it was all just a game, right? The others followed reluctantly. The tunnel was cold, damp, and claustrophobic. The deeper we went, the darker it got. Our flashlights flickered against the walls, casting long, eerie shadows. We walked for what felt like hours, following the narrow, winding path. I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, but I brushed it off as paranoia. Then, as we reached a section of the tunnel that opened into a small chamber, we heard a strange noise. At first, it was so faint I thought it was just the wind, until it happened again. A soft scraping sound, almost rhythmic. We stopped dead in our tracks. I turned to Alan, who looked just as uneasy. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. Alan nodded. David was the first to move, cautiously stepping toward the source of the noise. Jenna grabbed my arm. "Don't!" she said, her voice trembling. But it was too late. David was already getting closer, the scraping growing louder, almost as if something, or someone, was dragging something heavy across the floor. I shone my flashlight in the direction of the sound, and my heart skipped a beat. In the dim light, I saw a shape moving slowly towards us. It was humanoid, hunched over as if carrying a load on its back. I couldn't make out any features, but the way it moved wasn't like anything I'd seen before. Fear pulsed through me. Whatever it was unsettling. I instinctively took a step back, my flashlight beam wavering. That's when David let out a sharp yell, stumbling backward with wide, terrified eyes. "Guys!" he whispered urgently. "It's coming towards us!" His voice was strained, shaky with fear. Panic tightened its grip around my chest. Was he right? Was whatever was dragging itself towards us? Or was it just our imaginations running wild in this underground labyrinth? My mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation for what we were seeing. Could it be a stray animal? A homeless person? But the rational thoughts were drowned out by the pounding of my heart and the rasping breaths echoing in the confined space. The tunnel was pitch black, offering no clues or comfort. Our flashlights, once reassuring beams of light in the darkness, now only served to highlight the menacing outline of the approaching figure. I stood frozen, caught between the instinct to flee and the morbid curiosity that kept me rooted to the spot. Then, just as suddenly as it began, whatever was out there stopped. The silence descended once more, heavier, more oppressive than before. It was a silence that screamed, "Run!" My legs moved before my brain could catch up, propelling me away from the unsettling presence. I ran blindly, the rough tunnel walls scraping against my skin, the darkness pressing in like a physical force. Behind me, I heard Alan and Jenna moving too, their panicked breaths mingling with my own. But the lead, whoever or whatever it was, had vanished. As I ran, my mind screamed for answers. What had we stumbled upon in that abandoned facility? Had we awakened something we weren't meant to disturb? These questions echoed in the vast emptiness of my thoughts, unanswered and terrifying. Finally, my feet hit solid ground, the texture rough against my palms. I emerged from the tunnel, gasping for breath, my eyes straining to pierce the gloom. The world outside the tunnel seemed alien, unfamiliar in the dim light of twilight. And there in front of me was the entrance to the tunnel. But what should I do? Go back and search for the others, or run and not look back? I stood there, torn between my sense of responsibility towards my friends and the primal fear that gripped my entire being. Then through the trees, I saw them. Alan, Jenna, and David were standing together, their faces pale, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and disbelief. Relief washed over me, momentarily banishing the terror that had been coiling in my gut. But it was short-lived. As we regrouped, none of us spoke. We didn't need to. The silence between us was filled with the unspoken, the unseen, the inexplicable. We had all witnessed something in that tunnel that defied explanation, something that had burrowed into our minds and refused to let go. And I knew in that moment that our lives would never be the same. We didn't stick around to find out what else was down there. Instead, we got the heck out of there, practically sprinting to my truck. The drive back was silent, each of us lost in our own thoughts, replaying the events in our minds over and over. We didn't even stop at home. We drove all night, stopping only when we were miles away from that cursed facility. And even then, sleep eluded me. I spent the night in my car, listening to the sounds of the forest, convinced that whatever lurked in those tunnels had followed us. Days turned into weeks, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we had disturbed something malevolent. I tried to convince myself that it was just a figment of our imagination, a trick of the light. But the memory of that creature, the sound of its dragging footsteps, still haunted my nightmares. I even started researching the history of the base, hoping to find an answer, some rational explanation. But all I found were rumors of secret experiments and classified files. Some of my friends tried to brush it off, to joke about how maybe we had just imagined it. But the fear was still palpable between us, a silent understanding that what we had seen was real. And sometimes when I least expect it, I'll hear that scraping sound again, just like in the tunnel. It's enough to send shivers down my spine and remind me that some things are best left undisturbed. So have you ever had a similar experience? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.